My dear brothers and sisters, I want you to ask yourself something very quietly. That heartbreak, that delay, that dream that keeps repeating, what if it wasn't just life happening? What if it was a message from the one who's been speaking to your soul, not through words, but through silence, pain, and timing? The message begins the moment this world stops making sense to you. Have you ever just paused in the middle of your day and felt like something is deeply off? Like everyone else around you seems fine, laughing, moving on, living their lives, but you feel like you're just existing. You smile when you're supposed to. You reply to messages. You try your best to stay strong. But inside, it's like your soul is somewhere else. Not sad, not broken, just distant. You're not being dramatic. You're not lazy. And you're definitely not weak. That feeling you keep trying to ignore, that ache that comes late at night when the world goes quiet, that sudden wave of emptiness that you can't explain to anyone. It's not confusion. It's not mental exhaustion. It's a message that your soul is whispering on behalf of its creator. Because when your life starts to look the same, but feel heavier, it means something inside you has changed. It means Allah is gently showing you that you're no longer meant to stay where you are. You see, we build our lives like houses, brick by brick, routine by routine. We find comfort in familiar things, the same people, the same goals, the same habits. But one day, the house that once felt safe starts to feel like a cage. And that's the moment. The moment Allah begins to speak through stillness. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not even obvious. It's a subtle disconnection. A whisper that says, this version of your life was good for who you were, but not for who I'm turning you into. Because here's what most people don't realize. Growth doesn't always start with motivation. Sometimes it starts with discomfort. Allah won't always pull you out of a place by force. Sometimes He lets your heart grow restless. He lets your chest feel tight in places where you used to feel peace. He lets conversations feel shallow. He lets you wake up feeling like something is missing even if everything around you looks fine. Why? Because He knows if you're too comfortable, you'll never move. So He removes the comfort and replaces it with spiritual tension. It's His way of calling you higher, of preparing your heart for a life you didn't even know you were capable of living. So, if your days have started feeling dull, if your heart feels out of sync with your surroundings, if you feel tired, but not just physically tired in your soul, don't ignore it. That's not burnout. That's not depression. That's not just stress. That's a sacred signal, a divine invitation, a message from Allah that He's calling you out of who you were and guiding you toward who He created you to be. Allah doesn't wait for you to collapse before He sends you signs. He starts speaking the moment you're still enough to notice what no one else sees. And that quiet ache in your chest, that discomfort you feel in your spirit, it's not weakness. It's the soul saying, I'm ready to grow, but I can't do it here. Not in this environment, not in this mindset, not with this routine. It's not a breakdown. It's a spiritual breakthrough. You're not being broken. You're being rewritten. And Allah is the one guiding that shift. So take a breath, pause, reflect. Don't run from the discomfort. Don't numb it. Don't silence it. Don't explain it away. Sit with it. Because it's not your enemy. It's a messenger. And the message is this: you've outgrown this level of your life. I have more for you. But you must listen with your soul. And the moment you start to listen is the moment your real journey begins. The one you thought was your answer was just Allah's way of awakening you You thought they were the answer, the gift, the one who would finally bring peace to your heart. You made dua and they entered your life. You smiled more. You felt seen. You thought, this is it. This is what I was waiting for. Everything about them felt like a blessing until it didn't. Until things started to shift. Their tone changed. Their presence faded. And the one who felt like a dream slowly became your deepest pain. You asked yourself, what happened? How could Allah give me something so beautiful and then take it away? But my beloved, what if they weren't the destination at all? What if they were just the awakening? Because not every beautiful thing is meant to stay. Some people are written into your life not to complete your journey, but to expose the parts of you that needed healing. They were a mirror, not a soulmate. They were the turning point, not the ending. You didn't lose them. You were shown something through them, through the love, through the closeness, through the disappointment. Allah was showing you things you would have never seen on your own. He was teaching you, this is how deeply you can feel. This is where your wounds live. This is the part of you that still needs me more than anyone else. You see, sometimes Allah allows someone to enter your life, not to stay forever, but to shake your heart awake. Because without that person, you wouldn't have looked inward. You wouldn't have questioned your patterns. You wouldn't have noticed what you were settling for. That person who pulled away was pulling you back to Allah, back to your center, back to your real worth. And yes, I know it hurts. It still does. You gave so much. You trusted. You believed in what could have been. But Allah doesn't waste tears. He doesn't let your heartbreak be in vain. Sometimes He gives us a glimpse of something beautiful, so that when it's taken, we start longing for the source of all beauty, not the temporary reflections of it. Because no person, no matter how perfect they seem, can give you the kind of peace your soul is truly craving. That type of peace only comes when you build your closeness with Allah first. And maybe that was the real message all along. They didn't come to heal you. They came to reveal you, to show you the cracks you'd hidden, to uncover the loneliness you buried, to trigger the du'as you hadn't prayed in years. They were never the answer. They were the reason you started asking the right questions. And now that they're gone, you're still here, still breathing, still standing. But this time you're not relying on someone else to complete you. You're learning that your wholeness was never meant to come from anyone's presence, but from Allah's love. Maybe you thought you lost something special, but in reality you gained a clearer heart, a deeper connection with your Lord, a stronger sense of self. And maybe one day you'll look back and whisper, Ya Allah, thank you for removing what I couldn't. Thank you for saving me from what I kept calling love. Thank you for showing me that my pain was actually my protection. This isn't the end of your story. It's the pivot. The moment your soul stopped chasing what wasn't written, the moment you turned inward and upward, and who knows, maybe Allah will write someone better. Someone who loves your soul because they love your Rabb. Someone who doesn't complete your deen, but joins you in strengthening it. But even if they never come, even if no one else fills that space, you'll still be whole. Because now you've learned that heartbreak doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're finally awake. And sometimes that's the only reason Allah sends someone not to stay, but to awaken you. The regret you felt after that sin wasn't just guilt. It was a divine reminder that you were meant for more. You did something you weren't proud of. You knew it was wrong, maybe even as you were doing it, but something in you still went ahead. You gave in. You slipped. You crossed a line you told yourself you'd never cross again. And the moment it was over, came silence. Not from people, but from within. A heaviness settled in your chest. You couldn't look at yourself the same. You avoided mirrors. You avoided dua. You even avoided your own thoughts. That moment right there felt like you had ruined everything. You whispered, Ya Allah, what have I done? And then came the regret. But listen to me, my beloved, that regret was not just guilt. That ache in your chest was not just shame. That moment where you wanted to hide from the world was actually the moment Allah was calling you back. Because if you still felt something, if your heart still ached after what you did, it means your soul is still alive. And that's the real message. Allah hasn't turned away from you. He's turning you back to Him. You see, anyone can sin, but not everyone feels regrets. Not everyone feels their soul tighten after a mistake. Not everyone says, I wish I hadn't done that, with tears in their eyes. That's a sign. That's your fitrah still working. That's your connection to Allah still pulsing underneath the guilt. And sometimes it takes falling to realize just how much you need Him. Don't you know what the Prophet ﷺ said? Every son of Adam sins, and the best of those who sin are those who repent. Subhanallah. He didn't say the best are those who never fall. He said the best are those who return. Your return is what makes you beloved. Not your perfection, not your reputation, but your sincerity in coming back. Shaitan wants you to believe that your sin defines you. He whispers, look what you did, you're a hypocrite. You'll never be close to Allah now. You might as well stop trying. But Allah whispers the opposite. Oh my servant, come back. I know what you did, and I still want you, because His mercy doesn't end when you sin. It begins when you regret. That regret is not a weakness, it's a strength. It means your heart is still capable of change. It means your soul hasn't given up. It means your story is still being written. And let me tell you something beautiful. Some of the strongest servants of Allah were once deeply broken. Umar ibn al-Khattab, Ra, once an enemy of Islam. Khalid ibn al-Walid, Ra, fought against the Prophet ﷺ before becoming one of the greatest warriors for Islam. Allah doesn't just accept the broken. He honors them when they return with sincerity. So don't let this moment define you. Let it refine you. That sin you're crying over right now, it may be the very thing that humbles you, that softens you, that makes you more compassionate, more forgiving, more awake. Because some people pray for years, but never feel Allah the way a sinner does in the moment of true tawbah. That kind of connection comes only when your soul is raw, when your heart is cracked open, when you kneel in sujood with no words, just tears. And you say, Ya Allah, I miss you, I need you, I've lost myself. And Allah replies, without anger, without punishment, without rejection. He replies through mercy, through peace, through silence that calms the storm inside. You're not too far gone. You're not disqualified. You're not dirty. You're human. And being human means falling, but also being capable of rising again. So don't let shaitan hold you in that place of regret. Use it. Use the pain to push you closer to Allah than you've ever been. Because the worst sin is not the one you committed. It's believing that Allah can't forgive it. And the most beautiful transformation begins when you realize, I was never meant to stay down here. This fall was the path back to Him. When Allah closes a door, it's because that path would have damaged who you're meant to become. You had it all planned. You made dua sincerely. You trusted. You waited. You told yourself, if this happens, it will complete my story. You thought that job, that person, that opportunity was the one. Everything was moving in the right direction. It felt close. It felt written. You even saw signs that made your heart believe it was finally time. And then the door closed. Suddenly, sharply, without warning, and you stood there not just confused but shattered, as if a piece of your soul had just been locked out of its own future. You asked yourself, why would Allah bring me this far just to let it collapse? Why did it feel so real, so close, so perfectly aligned if it wasn't meant to be? And here's the answer, my dear brother, my dear sister, because Allah saw what you couldn't. He saw what was hidden behind that door. He saw the version of you that would have been hurt, distracted, maybe even destroyed if you had walked through it. He saw how tightly your soul was about to be tied to something temporary, something that would have taken you further from Him even if you thought it was good. You see, sometimes we ask Allah for something and He gives us signs and momentum and hope, not to tease us, but to test us, to see if we will still trust Him, even when the thing we wanted most is suddenly gone. Because not every opportunity is a gift. Some are traps wrapped in ease. Some are delays that look like blessings but would have destroyed your peace. And some are people who were never meant to love the soul Allah placed in you. That door didn't close because you weren't good enough. It didn't close because you didn't make enough dua. It didn't close because Allah forgot about you. It closed because that path would have damaged who you're meant to become. Because Allah isn't just writing your next step, He's protecting your entire future. He knows the you that you're still growing into. He knows the strength that needs to be built. He knows the purpose that hasn't awakened yet. And He knows which doors would have kept you too busy to ever meet that version of you. So when He blocks something, He's not saying no to your happiness. He's saying yes to your growth. And sometimes the way Allah saves you is by making something fall apart that you were trying so hard to hold together. Let it fall, because what He builds from your heartbreak will always be stronger than what you built from hope. You may not understand it now. It may feel unfair. It may feel like a punishment. It may feel like you're back at zero, but you're not. You're actually standing in front of a clean slate, a divine reset, a space where Allah is about to write something better than what you prayed for. Something that will not just please your heart, but protect your soul. Because the goal of this life is not to get what we want. It's to become who Allah created us to be. And sometimes what we want stands in the way of that. So He removes it. Not cruelly, not randomly, but lovingly. And you'll know it one day when you look back and say, Subhanallah, if that door had stayed open, I would have lost myself inside it. Ya Allah, thank You for protecting me from what I kept asking for. Thank You for the no that saved my deen. You're not behind. You're not being punished. You're not forgotten. You are being redirected. And every detour that hurts is designed to guide you back to what's real. So wipe your tears, take a deep breath, and whisper with your heart, Ya Allah, if it wasn't mine, I trust You. Even if it broke me, I know You're rebuilding me. Even if I don't understand now, I believe You saw something I didn't. And that is enough. Because with Allah, every closed door is mercy wearing disguise. The silence you feel is where Allah speaks without distractions. You've been waiting for something to change, for someone to reach out, for a dua to be answered, for a sign to appear, but nothing is happening. The people you used to hear from don't call anymore. The excitement you once felt isn't there. The connection you had in your salah feels distant. And now you sit with a silence that feels heavier than noise. It feels like Allah has gone quiet. Like the heavens that once felt so close have stopped responding. And your heart, though beating, feels like it's whispering, where is everyone? Where is Allah? But my dear brother, my dear sister, listen closely. Because silence doesn't mean absence. Silence is not a punishment. Silence is one of the most sacred conversations you'll ever have with your Lord. You see, when life is loud, when everything is moving quickly, we don't always hear what's happening inside. The noise outside distracts us. It drowns the sound of our own soul. So Allah, in His mercy, begins to quiet your world. He slows it down. He pulls people away. He pauses opportunities. He delays answers. Not because He's gone, but because He wants you to hear something deeper. He wants you to hear Him. And sometimes the only way you'll truly hear Allah's message is when everything else becomes silent. Because when you're surrounded by people, you listen to them. When you're surrounded by distractions, you follow them. But when you're finally alone, with no one to impress, no one to comfort you, no one to lean on, that's when your ears open. That's when your heart softens. That's when your soul whispers, Ya Allah, I miss you. And Allah has been waiting for that moment. He removed the distractions so you'd finally return. He pulled the world away from you so you could fall into His arms, not theirs. Because let's be honest, sometimes we don't remember Allah until we feel forgotten by others. Sometimes we don't call on Him until everyone else stops calling us. Sometimes we don't sit in sujood with sincerity until we've been left in silence long enough to remember why we needed Him in the first place. So if you're in a season of silence, don't run from it. Don't rush through it. Don't try to fill it with more noise. Sit with it. Because it's in that silence that Allah begins to rebuild what was buried. It's in that stillness that your real healing begins. Allah says in the Quran, indeed in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:28. But how can you remember Him deeply when your mind is still spinning? How can your heart find rest if it's always chasing the next distraction? So Allah does something beautiful. He sends stillness. He sends quiet. He removes noise, not to leave you empty, but to make space for His light to enter your heart again. That moment when no one texts you is when Allah says, come talk to me. That moment when your plan falls apart is when Allah says, that wasn't for you, I have better. That moment when even your own voice trembles in dua is when Allah says, you don't need the right words, just come back, I already know what's inside. So the next time the silence feels overwhelming, I remember this. The silence is not the absence of Allah. It's the removal of distractions. So His voice becomes the only one you hear. And that voice doesn't shout. It doesn't scare. It doesn't demand. It comforts. It guides. It rebuilds. In silence you learn that peace isn't found when life is full. It's found when life is aligned. And maybe that's what this quiet season is for. To align you again. To bring you back to center. To remind you that you don't need a crowd to feel worthy. You don't need constant noise to feel alive. You just need one moment with Allah and your entire life begins to make sense again. So don't fear the silence. That silence is sacred. It's safe. It's filled with mercy you can't see yet. And when the noise returns, when the next chapter of your life begins, you'll carry something the old you never had. Inner stillness, spiritual clarity, unshakable peace. And it all began with silence. When you keep seeing the same sign, it means you still haven't responded. You keep seeing it, the same dream, the same verse, the same reminder over and over again. You scroll and there it is. You're thinking of something and suddenly someone mentions it. You ask Allah for a sign and a few hours later that exact topic appears on your feed in a conversation or in a quiet moment that shakes you, you start to wonder, is this just my mind playing tricks? Am I overthinking? Why does this keep coming back? But deep down, you feel something, a whisper inside you that says, this isn't random. And you're right. It's not. This is how Allah speaks, not with thunder, not always with dreams, not always with miracles. Sometimes He speaks through repetition, because repetition is how Allah gets your soul's attention when your mind keeps ignoring what it already knows is true. You see, your soul doesn't forget what your ego tries to silence. Your fitra, the pure state you were born with, recognizes truth even when your lifestyle doesn't. So Allah, in His infinite mercy, sends signs, then sends them again and again. Not to annoy you, not to haunt you, but to rescue you from a path your heart already knows isn't right. When a message keeps showing up, it means you haven't acted on it yet. You've seen the warning, but you keep going. You've felt the discomfort, but you keep convincing yourself to stay. You've cried after that sin, but you keep going back. So Allah gently sends the sign again. It might come as a verse that pierces through you like a light. It might come as a person who says exactly what you needed to hear. It might come as a heartbreak, a delay, a test, a memory that won't leave you. And when you still don't respond, He sends it again. Because the repetition isn't cruelty, it's compassion. He could leave you to figure it out on your own, but He doesn't. Because He still wants you. Because there's still time. Because your heart still beats with enough faith to respond. And so He keeps repeating it until one night, maybe like tonight, you finally pause long enough to say, Ya Allah, I hear you. I know this is you. I'm done running. Because you're not imagining these patterns. You're not overanalyzing. Your soul recognizes what your nafs tries to avoid. And Allah is meeting you at your level of attention. You know why the signs feel louder now? Because your heart has been softened. Because He's removed enough distractions. Because He's pulled you far enough away from the noise of dunya that His whispers can finally echo clearly inside your silence. You keep seeing the same person in your dreams because your soul still hasn't forgiven them. You keep hearing that reminder about salah because you still delay it. You keep noticing that topic of change and tawbah because you still haven't taken the step your heart keeps aching to make. Allah won't stop sending the sign until you stop ignoring the signal. Because sometimes He repeats what you keep avoiding. And even when you respond partially, even when you say soon, Ya Allah, He waits, not with anger, but with love, with gentleness, with patience. He is Al-Halim, the most forbearing. He waits as long as you need, but He keeps the message alive because He doesn't want to lose you. Even when you're drifting, even when you feel far, even when you're not praying properly, even when you feel unworthy, He still keeps showing up in signs because your return means that much to Him. So if you're hearing this right now, if you feel like this part of the video is speaking directly to you, then this is not just a script. This is your message. The repetition wasn't random. The patterns weren't pointless. The signs weren't scattered. They were precise, merciful, planned, written. Allah isn't silent. He's speaking to you through the very moments you keep calling coincidences. So don't say, it keeps happening. Say, He's still calling me. And now, it's your turn to finally respond. Ya Allah, I see it. I feel it. I understand now. Please, give me the strength to act. Because the signs may return, but your heart may not always be this open. So respond while your soul is still listening, before the repetition turns into regret. The delay you're complaining about is the space where Allah is refining you quietly. You keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the prayer to be answered, for the doors to open, for the moment where everything finally makes sense. But instead, more silence, more stillness, more confusion. And deep down you begin to wonder, why is Allah making me wait so long? Why do others get there so easily while I'm still stuck? What more do I need to do to finally be seen? My dear brother, my dear sister, listen carefully. Delays are not rejections. Delays are divine preparation. Allah isn't ignoring you. He's refining you in the quiet, in the unseen, in ways you can't yet measure. You see, the world taught us to rush, to chase, to compare, to always be ahead. But Allah's timing doesn't follow your deadlines. It follows your readiness. And sometimes what you're praying for would break you if it arrived too soon. You want that marriage, but your heart still hasn't healed. You want that success, but your ego would have grown faster than your gratitude. You want clarity, but your habits haven't changed. You want the next chapter, but you haven't closed the last one properly. So Allah, in His infinite mercy, presses pause, not to punish you, but to protect what He's preparing. Because blessings aren't random, they're heavy, and He only hands them to hearts that can carry them with humility. You think the delay is a burden, but it's actually a classroom, a sacred space between not yet and finally, where your character is being molded, your soul is being softened, and your connection with Allah is being strengthened. And the most amazing part, all of this is happening quietly, without you even noticing. You're becoming stronger, more patient, more grateful, more emotionally intelligent, more spiritually aware. But it's not loud, it's not public, it's not something anyone will see or celebrate on social media, because real transformation happens in silence. That's why Allah delays what you want, so He can shape who you are. He's not giving you the blessing yet, because He's still preparing you to be a blessing in someone else's life. He's still removing the fears, the pride, the attachments, the secret insecurities, the parts of you that would have poisoned the gift if it came too soon. And even though you feel stuck, you are not behind. You are being held in a divine pause, where time is being used for you, not against you. Do you think Allah, who hears the dua before it leaves your lips, has forgotten you? Do you think the one who created time is late? No, my beloved. He's never late. He's perfect. And what He's doing in your life right now is bigger than the thing you're praying for. Because the delay isn't just about what you're waiting for. It's about who you're becoming while you wait. The delay is building tawakkul, trust, sabr, patience, yaqeen, certainty in Him. And these qualities, they last longer than any result ever will. You think you're ready now, but Allah knows the version of you that will be grateful, stable, generous, and strong when the blessing arrives. So wait, but don't wait in frustration. Wait with faith. Wait with worship. Wait with the certainty that your delay is doing something beautiful in the background. And when the moment finally comes, when the dua is answered, when the door opens, when the tear becomes a testimony, you will whisper, Ya Allah, now I understand. You didn't delay to punish me. You delayed it to protect me from myself. And that realization, that spiritual clarity, that moment of connection, it's worth every second you spent waiting. So breathe, be still, and trust the one who sees what's happening inside you, not just what you want around you. Because you're not being delayed. You're being refined quietly, perfectly, lovingly, And when Allah finishes the version of you He's building in silence, you will step into the next season of your life. Not as someone who waited too long, but as someone who was being prepared all along. If you're watching this, it means you were meant to hear what heaven has been repeating. You could have clicked on anything else. You could have ignored this. You could have scrolled past like so many do. But you didn't. You stopped. You watched. You stayed. And that alone is a sign. Not from me, not from the algorithm, but from Allah. Because when the same topic keeps showing up, when the same reminder keeps coming back, when you randomly find a video that feels like it was made just for you, it's not random at all. It's written, planned, perfectly placed by the one who knows exactly when your soul needed it. You didn't find this message. This message found you. Because sometimes heaven has to repeat itself until your heart becomes quiet enough to finally hear. And right now, in this exact moment, you're not just listening to words, you're receiving something far deeper, a divine appointment. You've been walking through something that no one sees. You've been battling thoughts you haven't shared. You've been carrying questions you don't even know how to ask out loud. But Allah knew. He always knew. And He waited not to punish you, not to test you further, but to reach you when your heart was open and your soul was tired enough to receive. Because some of the most important moments in your life will not happen in a crowd. They'll happen in private, in silence, when the world is sleeping, but your heart is awake and crying for answers. And in that moment, this moment, Allah speaks, not with a voice, but with a message, a feeling, a peace, a line that hits you harder than anything you've heard all day. That's how divine messages feel. They don't shout, they resonate. They touch a wound that no one else knows about. They bring light to a place you didn't even realize was dark. And right now,